I am actually passionate about eliciting teachers' knowledge, and this was a concept that I got in my first career in agronomy, where I would actually ask farmers what is it that they are doing, why they are planting certain crops, why they are using certain methods, to actually understand their reasons and build on that to see what other strategies I can tell them. And that is a common principle that agronomists use. So in my dissertation, this idea of eliciting teachers' knowledge, I thought it was a very good concept for me to explore and see how teachers are also asking questions to students before they go into the teaching. So coming to this book is based on my dissertation. So my dissertation, I actually had 11 teachers that I interviewed, I observed, and I wanted to actually understand what is it that they are doing in eliciting students' knowledge, in understanding what it is that students are doing, in telling them in the classroom before they teach. So writing the book for me was very important because it gives me a hard copy, something that I can hold all the time, something that I can share with other teachers, something that I can share with other educators to actually have a reason to explain to others how teachers are practicing this principle of eliciting students' knowledge in the classroom. I was interested in high school science teachers who would be comfortable to share with me how they elicit their students' knowledge. So to be able to identify these teachers, I went to 11 different high schools. I talked to the science teachers, I talked to the administrators, and the administrators actually helped me to identify the science teachers that they thought were highly esteemed. And these science teachers too, they had worked with some of the programs in the university, so I went, and the college professors also confirmed that they were highly esteemed teachers. But an important thing about these science teachers is that they felt really comfortable to be part of the research, which is not something that you easily find. Usually teachers don't feel comfortable standing in front of the camera to be observed and to be x-rayed about their teaching processes, but these teachers actually felt comfortable to present their teaching to me. And so I actually decided these were the best teachers to have for my research. I used a very important technique to have these teachers share their voices. Actually, the title of the book, Science Teachers' Voices, very important. Science Teachers' Voices. Most of the time, we keep teachers' voices away and we come up with all these policies, with all these strategies, without letting the teachers tell us. So this book is really important because it actually shows you their voices, gives them a place. So how did I get the teachers to share their voices? I use this technique, which is called video stimulating recall technique. It is a very important technique, but has not been explored that much in the field of education. It has been explored in the field of medical science, where doctors in residence, they videotape them, and they come later and they show them, they watch the videos, tell them, and they talk about how they were interacting with patients, and they see some of the things that they should not do. So it's very important. So with these teachers, after watching them, I videotaped these teachers, and immediately after the teaching, not more than 24 hours, the teacher and I, we watched the video of their teaching, and it was during this time that the teachers actually knew that I had a specific reason why I was videotaping them. It was here that they even heard of the word eliciting, because I told them that listen, you're going to watch this video, and every instant where you think or you believe that you were eliciting students' knowledge, pause the video and then we'll talk about it. So some of them like, oh my God, I don't think I elicited students' knowledge. I don't think I did that. You know, there were a couple who immediately knew that they were not doing that during their teaching. And then there was some who felt very comfortable because they thought that was something they were doing all the time. And so you had teachers teaching biology, teachers teaching physics, chemistry, soil science, physical science. So I had teachers representing all these different domains of science. So when the teachers were watching the video, I mean, each teacher who taught the class watched the video with me, and each instant that they saw where they elicited, they would pause and I would ask questions like, why did you ask that question? And might even ask them, what were you asking that question for? Why did you pick on that particular student? And there were moments where a teacher would say, well, he was not paying attention, he was not attentive, and so I wanted to make him know that he needs to be attentive. So you see here where teachers are using eliciting, not to gain students' knowledge, but as a form of classroom management, to say, hey, you better be quiet, you were not attentive, right? So there are many reasons why teachers are doing that. So this technique is very, very important. And the teachers also watching this video, they were able to identify instances where they completely missed a distinct student's knowledge, or where they were busy asking questions that they should not have asked. So there were important questions, or where students responded, and they did not build on the student's response in asking more substantial questions that would have helped them to better understand what it is that the students understood about the concept. Eliciting students' knowledge is a very, very important concept, and unfortunately, it's one that has not actually been explored as much as I believe it should. Usually, it is hidden within the concept of formative assessment, which is another construct, again, that is very complicated but has been oversimplified. I would like to build this construct of elicitation. I'll give you some examples based on other fields, and then I'll bring it back into education. Now, take, for example, when you have a medical doctor and he has a patient, or she has a patient in front of her. This medical doctor wants the patient to be able to tell him or her as much as possible on issues, on their pains, on what it is that is affecting them. So the doctor, therefore, has to be able to ask questions that will help the patients to actually describe their diseases. They usually say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? Do you have a bad when you sleep? Do you sleep okay? Do you eat well? Do you go to the bathroom? And all those questions that the doctor asks is going to help him to actually diagnose the patient. In the field of agronomy, where I came from, agriculture, it was very, very important to elicit, to ask the farmers why they were farming in specific methods, why they were using specific breeds of specific species. Because as an agronomist, you want to be able to know why farmers are doing what they are doing so that you can then think of ways to help them. A very good example comes to mind when I think about this. Back in Central Africa, West Africa, some would call it, specifically in the Republic of Cameroon, where I am originally from, we had expatriates who came and they were working with agronomists like me to help the farmers in their farming methods. So they identified this high-yielding corn, and they thought that these farmers would easily accept them. Of course, when the farmers planted them, they saw that this corn, or here they call them maize, they were very high producing. They produced 3 times more than their traditional corn. But at the end of the season, when the farmers used this corn to produce their regular meal that they had, they didn't like it. So they refused to adopt that corn. And the agronomists were kind of like, oh yeah. And we told them, you see, it's very important for us to ask these farmers why they are using the corn, why they are using the different practices that they have. Now, in my new field in education, it's the same thing. As a teacher, how can you begin to teach students when you don't know their current status, when you don't know what it is that the students are bringing in the classroom? How do you begin to teach them? Even when you are teaching them in the middle of the lesson, you don't just go on teaching without actually taking a pause and consistently asking and checking whether they are understanding what it is that you are teaching. That is a construct of eliciting, to be able to draw out from the students what they know so as to help you as a teacher to build on that knowledge to meet their learning needs. So eliciting, to get out, to draw from their students what it is that they know, is a very, very important construct from K-12. From kindergarten to 11th grade to beyond, whatever level, when you are dealing with people, it is very important to elicit their knowledge, because until you do that, whatever you are doing, you might not be helping them. So that concept of eliciting students' knowledge is very, very important, and I find it very passionate. It's something that I want to build on. It's something that my whole career is going to work on, to see how I can use that construct in helping my pre-service teachers to become better teachers. The main takeaway from my book is to understand that teachers have different reasons and they have different ways in which they elicit students' knowledge. Before I wrote this book, the past literature on how teachers are eliciting, or what teachers are doing in class, I'm not just going to generalize it, but in most cases, researchers and educators, people in the field of education, they always make a lot of assumption on what teachers are doing in the classroom without actually understand why teachers are doing that. So even though this construct is very important, from my research, I found out that the teachers themselves, they realized that they were not doing as much as they should in eliciting students' knowledge. For example, teachers feel very comfortable asking very superficial questions, which in education we call convergent questions, questions that want the students just to say yes or no, want the students just to repeat what they have memorized, basic facts. They do not go into what we call the divergent questions, where they would have to require students to explain, to analyze, to argue, to compare and contrast. Teachers do not go beyond those superficial questions. And when these teachers, they saw the video of their teaching, when I was with them during the video stimulating recall technique, when they watched what they were doing in class, compared it with the questions I was asking, they actually realized that they were not doing as much as they should have done. They identified specific instances where they missed, where they thought, oh, I think I should have done this. I should have asked these questions. I should have done this. I should have done that. So the technique that I even use in my research helped the teachers as they watch the video to realize certain things that they should do better in their classroom. So what does this mean? Teachers reading my book would actually be able to compare what they are doing in the classroom with respect to eliciting students' knowledge. And when they compare this and compare what they're doing with the 11 different cases that I had in my books, they will be able to see, oh, I think I can do better. I think I am here. I think I am there. And they will be able to probably adjust in their teaching. Researchers who are involved with professional development to help in-service teachers to enhance their teaching, specifically formative assessment or assessment, they can also benefit from this book with these different cases and the different ways that the teachers actually elicit students' knowledge. They can actually see the different challenges that teachers have, and rather than just go in there and have a coverall, a broad aspect in professional development, thinking you are helping teachers, they can now be more focused. Now they know, oh, I think we need to build something on how teachers can ask better questions, diversion questions, how they can actually see and observe students, how they can actually make sure that students are talking about the substance of science and not just repeating or just recalling what they had been taught. So the book is going to be relevant for teachers, it's going to be relevant for researchers, professional development providers. It's also going to be relevant for teacher educators like myself, teachers who are in the field, educators in the field who are in the process of preparing pre-service science teachers. They are also going to benefit from this book because reading it and reading the 11 cases, they can also have something like an activity in the classroom where the science teachers can actually read these specific cases and begin to think or reflect on their own methods of eliciting students' knowledge.